Hello and welcome to today's edition of Capital Show. Today we reflect on the theme creativity and epistemic responsibility as necessary potentials for Nigeria's development. And with me in the studio to discuss this is the very father Dr. Chrysanthus Nnaemeka Ogbozo. Dr. Ogbozo is an academician of great repute. He is the Rector of Claretian Institute of Philosophy and the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Claretian University of Nigeria. He is the author of several books and has numerous articles in distinguished academic journals. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Okay. First, let's define the terms of our discourse. What do you mean by creativity and epistemic responsibility?
Okay. Creativity is just coming from the ordinary word to be creative. In other words, to go out to produce something beyond the status quo, not resting on what you have received, but the constant urge to bring into novelty something that has not been there. It's a desire, it's a passion, it's an advance, and it is a push. And this is why in one of the articles I wrote, we said this is a necessary potential, not just potential, a latent potential, it's a necessary one. Yes, with regard to creativity. Then epistemic responsibility is my personal point, which I've never seen it anywhere. It is a way of bringing two important disciplines for human development together. On the one hand is epistemology, on the other hand is ethics. And these two terms coined together are coming from two great traditions. First of all, epistemic, which is an adjective from epistemology, the noun, is a study of or science of knowledge. And then responsibility is an ethical, is more ethical than anything, because it talks about consequences, that one has the ability to think of consequences of what he's doing and to own it up without being coerced. You are responsible. This has to be thought about. So it is the way I would like to see it is a knowledge that is ethically oriented. You don't just know for knowing's sake, but you know to be able to conserve and do something positive. And also, it is a consequence. One thinks of a consequence from point of view of responsibility, a consequence or implication that is well founded. You know it, and you don't say, you will not be thinking of course. You have to have the necessary information before you can really apply yourself to being consequential, to being obliged, to being responsible. So the two, knowing and following the consequences of something.
Incredible. Also, you argued that development is not a terminus outcome, that's a point of arrival, but must be grounded in the potentials of creativity and responsibility. What do you mean by that?
It's important for us to note that I was writing from the metaphysics of Alfred White, an English philosopher of science, many things, philosophy of education, philosophy of nature, metaphysician. And his view of creativity actually is inserted into his metaphysics. So when I say that creativity is a necessary potential for development, it means that since development necessary potential or is not an terminus ad quem, it means that there is no end to development. And like I said, It is an idea coming from his metaphysics of the concrete sensing of an actual entity. That is, whatever exists in this universe, in Whitehead's philosophy, is an actual entity. And this actual entity is on a continuous development that does not end. And even when it is said that it has arrived its what we call satisfaction, it has attained an objective immortality, which in other language would mean it has died, it becomes ingredient for other things that are concrete sensing, other things that are growing. So I can use a small example. If we as human beings are born, we grow up, get advanced, and continue to live till we die. When we die, we are buried, we turn into manure for crops, for even other things, and we are taken up again into plants and animals. You don't know the kind of joy that the termites have. When we are crying, they say, finally our meat has come. We are crying, they are rejoicing. So it gets again in this whole circle of concrete sensing that makes life an organism, and the world is involved in togetherness. And that is actually philosophy of organism, or is a process philosophy. So if this is the nature of his philosophy, and development is a continuous movement, because that is what he would mean by creative advance, always going into novelty, then we cannot say that we at any point we have arrived at fullness of development. There will always be room for further development of the developed, and a continuous one. Probably in the language of Wittgenstein, we meet an omega point.
But you look at this that potentials for creativity and responsibility. You describe it as an ontological impulse.
Yes.
That should be exhibited by every individual living in the development of both the individual, the human herself, and for the society that he or she is found. In the light of Nigeria's underdevelopment, and of course subsequent crowning as the poverty capital of the world, can it be said that we have abdicated that ontological impulse?
When you say abdicated, means we have put a stop, isn't it? Or discarded it. Discarded. I wouldn't say that, because Nigeria is also in the process of development. Our situation today is that we are not paying attention to that. We are not nurturing or cultivating this impulse. First of all, we are not paying attention to the impulse, and we are not nurturing, because it has to be nurtured. And when I say it is an ontological, that is to say, it is in the being of an entity to develop. But things help to bring about this development. That's why I was talking about creativity. Once you kill creativity, then you are stagnant. Sometimes you will even get backwards. So it is important, and that's why I say epistemic, that is like a catalyst that will make you to, if you know it if you know it with this sense of obligation, then the drive will be there. But if you know, which is the situation in Nigeria, you know it, and there is this corresponding impulse, corresponding sense of obligation, responsibility, nothing would happen. So these are our politicians, our leaders, who are responsible for some dimensions of development. Because development is life. We are now talking of social, political, economic development. When I think of the politicians and the leaders, political leaders, I'm only thinking of the social, dimension, the political, the economic dimension. But there are other dimensions like the moral, like the educational, somewhat the society contributes, or the politicians, leaders contribute in the education of the citizens. But there are other agents like the church, like the individuals. Even what you are doing now is highly educative and creative. We are talking of creativity. I've never experienced this, and I praise what we are doing, because I know how many times I've disappointed you. First of all, I resisted it. I was very skeptical. What is it going to bring? But you were fixed. You were determined. You are a realistic, empirical demonstration of this inner drive, because that is what is ontological. Ontological is something that comes from within the beingness of an individual that keeps driving you. You are a display of such an urge towards creativity, a creativity that you want to see that it affects something in society.
Wow. Thank you for the awesome compliment. Okay. Okay. Nigerians, we have about 5% unemployment rate and all that, and of course high level of poverty. So, in the light of epistemic responsibility, where does poverty eradication lie? Is it in the hands of the government or
it lies in education? I don't want to wait till you finish. It lies in creative education. I will always be putting creativity in everything I'm going to say, because that is part of that is at the center of what we are saying. Creative education. Even recently, I published an article in this journal, if you like to see it, International Journal of Philosophy and Public Affairs, where I wrote the other. This is 2020 edition. I said, value-based education for Nigeria's development, ethical and metaphysical foundation. You know, so I tried to argue, what is education? There are two controversial origins of the word education. One is that education comes from the Latin word educare, which is to form, to train, and order. In other words, you are the one being taught is receiving things from outside. And this is, to tell you the truth, this is the nature of education that we have in Nigeria. You receive from outside, you pour out when you are asked. You know that also from CIP, and even though we do more here, and then he's an educated man. Then there is another route, you know, another source of education. The word education is called educere, not educare now. And educere says to lead out, to bring out from the individual. And this is the Socratic method. Socrates says, I'm a midwife. The role of a midwife in helping the pregnant woman to deliver, the role of a nurse, a midwife, in helping the pregnant woman to bring out the child is not to do it herself, but we assisting you, you know, stay this way and all that. So that is educere. But each of them, and these two origins these two origins bring one to two formal theories of education. Two theories of education. One is a formalist theory, the one says educare, and this is what you have in our institutions in Nigeria. Many of them. Give me what I give you. But we are in a worse situation even, that even give me what I give you does not even work. They are giving half. You saw when I brought so many scripts and just giving math. Carry over so that I will see them next week. But it was even impossible to pass others. Again, 3 failed. Now, I want a situation where the two are combined. The other one that says, you are not a nonentity. Every individual is not a nonentity. There's something you know that the other does not know. Fish out the job of a teacher, is to fish out those nice ones, bring it out, and actually that might be a methodological procedure. You fish out, and then after doing that, you look for the lacks in the person and you supply that. All in view of being responsible, because it's not just a theoretical thing. That's where ethics also comes in. And that's why I said in that book, value-based education, not literacy, not to be very intelligent and get titles, but there must be values. And in that article, I discussed values like honesty, like transparency, and all that. If these our institutions cannot, as they bring us something good from an individual, give him some other thing, and is not geared towards training a personality that is transparent, that has the passion for the good, for the common good, that also goes for what is true. That's how we have thwarted so many things. And this is the whether Peter Obi wins the election of Nigeria 2023, he is a gospel of his own.
Wonderful. Before I continue, how may someone get that journal?
This is the center. This Claretian Institute of Philosophy is the publishing center.
Okay. So, yes, do well to get that incredible article on value-based education. You referred to, now you mentioned P2P, let me take the political end of Nigeria. You refer to responsibility as the right to independent free action and obligation to accept the consequences of the action. Can you swiftly outline the responsibility that are due to Nigerians as we approach the 2023 general election?
Honesty in word and action. Number one. It looks, people, let them not let our viewers not misunderstand honesty in terms of moral, in terms of spiritual. No, this one is being real. Let me bring it to philosophy. Is being true to reality, what is. Another way of expressing it is call a spade a spade. See, returning to this P2B something. Even he made some church people to know that they are falling behind, that they are not living up to the witnessing of identifying what is to be what is. You know the controversy between him and Father Mbaka.
Yeah.
The issue, and Father Mbaka tried to do something, tried to hide under the semantic, I won't even call it semantic, tried to hide under a linguistic formulation. A stingy person cannot be a president. Stingy in what sense? There are sometimes stinginess will be necessary. For someone who is so affluent and all that, you bring him to order. But for him, this is a hiding, this is an escape from reality. Simply because Obi is not like the rest who is distributing money anyhow. And I love that he said, if being stingy is not to lavish the national money, distributing them, and at the end everyone will be crying with bad roads, with incessant strikes, because people are not paid their due, with lack of electricity, etc., etc. If that's what it means, that is being trying to be resourceful, trying not to be wasteful, if that is the meaning of this priest's understanding of stinginess, he is proud to be stingy. And I clapped where I was. And really, I was too ashamed that a Catholic priest who went through the rigor of the seminary of philosophy, which is the department of thinking, profound thinking, a thinking that leads to wisdom, and climax this training with theological cause for for 4 years, Theos Logos, the study of God, that he could say such a thing. I still feel ashamed, even today, we are having this interview. So, what I want to say, I just mentioned one point so far: honesty, transparency, not knowing it, but knowing and doing it. Then, another thing, because you are asking how could that help Nigerian situation. Then, and you see, let me just elaborate a little bit on that. Initially, it didn't, what people said, didn't appear to have made some impact. But come and see now the volumes, it has produced. So this brings me to the second way: perseverance in doing what is good. This is not moral. This is not spirituality. You can have it there, but if you have a good sense of your metaphysics of the good by Plato, you will know that the good propels everything that we do, and this is one of the transcendental attributes of being. So this is it. This is also a quality: the desire to pursue the good no matter what. Perseverance in the pursuit of the good. Then you have also this other quality of excellence. You look for, our people go for mediocrity. We should aim. That's why I left the plate numbers of these various states. I didn't want to get one. I went to the one of Lagos, I think Center of Excellence. I went for it. And it's not just to put it in the car. When I'm driving it, I have to drive excellently. I have to overtake excellently. I don't know, people buy those things for them, but these are helping me also to do something. And where I don't attain to that, I confess. That is also another element. It is a terrible thing here that people don't, from their own volition, that is part of creativity and this inner drive. I don't need EFCC to tell me that you have stolen. Once you have the good is the propelling force, the drive is continuous, I persevere in it. At any time that I come down from that level, expected level, I say, please, I'm sorry. Even as a priest, I've challenged some of the priests that say, there is no lateness for the priest. I say it's a lie. We have common timing. If the mass is at 9 and I arrive 9:30, I will apologize and tell the people why I arrived at 9. You have honesty there, you have transparency there, you have responsibility. The people, you are responsible to be just to them, because some came even 30 minutes before time and all that. And these are values. Basic values have become even the supreme values because we have ignored them. Let me stop. Yeah.
Just like a follow-up, what do you make of Nigerians in the light of responsibility who have seen that some candidates who have presented themselves for the election actually fall short of the requirement, the basic requirements of president, yet they support them with that ardor, vigor, and passion, per se. So, what do you make of?
It's a lack of this epistemic responsibility. They think only of the present. Let me get my cash. The responsibility that follows, you know that you are not living up to that knowledge that you have. There is no responsibility. That's why I joined the two. Epistemic. You know it, because that's what you have said, but you refuse to comport yourself to the level of your knowledge just because of some little advantages. Ego, money, wretched bags of rice, very painted, inferiorly painted abada. I want to use very bad words to describe what we take for the moment, and then we sell out for the next 4 years, if not 8, what a good government would have done for us. I've preached that in the church several times. Someone is giving you a wretched half bag of rice so as to sell your conscience and your vote. And before he gives you, you have 365 days. I bet you have eaten more than 4 bags of rice in a year. He gives you this one and you sell your conscience for this, and then you will suffer its consequence, responsibility in the bad roads that he will live the way he inherited it, in the negligence of schools, in so many things. So what I say is their knowledge is half-baked and is a very selfish one, not based on responsibility. I have maybe to add this to this is an ancient Persian proverb. You know it certainly. You are a writer and a well-read person. You know of this quotation: "He who knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool." You have nothing to do with it. They say, "Don't know." Just like he knows not that he knows, and he knows not and knows not that he knows. Where would you begin? But he who knows not and knows that he knows not is a student teaching. Then the other one is he who knows and knows not that he knows is asleep. Wake him up. Then the last, where we belong, because you studied here and got through one. He who knows and knows that he knows is a wise man. Follow him. You know. So you see, in all this you have no epistemic. But this epistemology is tied up with action and responsibility. So our people, turning to that question, because it's a very nice one, I don't think that they don't have theoretical knowledge. They don't have theoretical knowledge that we need a good world. That villages or towns or citizens have need for good water, for education, etc., etc. But what happens? We sell our consciences just for immediate selfish personal results. We are not global in our thinking. I have doubted this saying that has been limited to Africa. I am because we are. I said it's not true. We are more selfish than these white people that we say that they are individualistic. It's not true. And sometimes the whites will not understand that one man will be emptying heavy sums of money for the state, and not just that, he will go free with it. And if there is a little semi-angel who discovers him, he will send assassins after him. And no one says it. So we need real value-based education informed by epistemic responsibility.
Amazing. Okay. The late Professor Chrysanthus once said that the trouble with Nigeria is leadership, and the inability of the leaders to rise to their responsibility. So how can this be the remedy? Because you know, when the last administration came in, the current administration came in, they were busy blaming the past administration or why they failed. So how will we remedy such serial leadership failure in our polity?
I think there's need, you are not going to get a one-way remedy for such things. The remedy will be multifaceted and would involve many agents. I have no faith in the leadership, because I have no faith in from above. Above, I mean, is from the political class, because you have generations of corrupt minds. So all my hope will come from below. And I still remember, he's still alive, the former bishop of Ugbo, the former bishop of Ogoja, later became Catholic Archbishop of Calabar, and he's retired. So he once said during an inaugural lecture at Bigger Memorial Seminary, I was still a student, nothing happens except with pressure from below. No good revolution happens except with pressure, we call it, from below. When we say pressure, it does not necessarily mean physical force or violence. It means that because those on top, you want to change their attitude and mentality, will continue to be there and not understand. But the downtrodden who have experienced that will be able to, first of all, galvanize themselves, try to get fairly consensus opinions about what is really happening in the society, and then try to champion ways to change the status quo. This will be one way of doing so, coming from the downtrodden, those who have really experienced what it means to suffer, to be hungry, to not to have good basic. We are not saying luxurious, basic amenities. Another way is that the church, where I belong, can do more collectively. There are individuals in the church that are doing something, speaking, writing, etc., and these have received their consequences. Some have been killed, very clear. Some have been maimed, and it is a natural thing now to kidnap. No one you can kidnap any bishop, priest, Christian, worse, even where they are worshiping. And it's not just when I say the church, it's not just the hierarchy in the church. And when I say the church here, Catholic, Anglican, all Christian churches, most have, some of them, a very good number, have had their dose of pains in trying to witness to this kind of thing. So the church can do more. And the more I'm expecting from them, it's not just individuals, because I've once also, I wrote the Kuka, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, when his place was burnt and all that, I wrote a letter to him, which I showed to our Claretian bishop. I won't call them, we have two Claretian bishops, I would name withheld. I wrote to him to express my little dissatisfaction that the conference of bishops are leaving the speaking out to one or two, because just like Kuka had severally been threatened, Bishop Kuka, also Bishop Honor of Nsukka, where I lecture, has also been severally threatened. So that the bishop was very nice, reminded me that the conference of bishops speaks on two levels, as individual bishops, and speaking when something happens in their own territory, because a lot of things can spill over to the other and it becomes worse. They also speak on another level, which is called on the level of the conference. All the bishops put together. I'm talking with particular reference to the Catholic Bishops Conference of Nigeria, CBCN. So he reminded me, and I was there at Makurdi at the mass burial of 19 Christians, 17 lay people, and 2 priests that were murdered early morning during Holy Mass. And Bishop Anabwe, because they came from Makurdi Diocese, I went there personally, and these dignitaries were there. The only person that was not there was Buhari, but Osibanjo was there. Many of the bishops came, and they spoke their voice. Both the homilies that was given by John Cardinal Naikon, and eventually the speech rendered by the bishop of the place, the Claretian bishop, Bishop Wilfred Anabwe. These were powerful words. no one would have doubted that any other thing could happen. They wrote a powerful letter before then, came for the funeral, and also spoke powerful words that any epistemic responsibility-oriented person would change his mind. But this time, that was just an introduction to the series of killings that have gone in this country. So that is one level. And as a priest, another way of doing that, we will not stop appealing to the power over the entire universe, namely God. So I talked about grassroots pressure as a way. I talked about different agencies like the church, NGOs, and all that. Just use one. Another one is that we also don't ignore prayer, because that is where everyone bows to the divine author of the universe. And his own is that we don't know his methodology. It can be rapid, it can be gradual, etc. That is also another dimension of prayer. And of course, this education that is value-based. Because what you are doing now, I'm not too sure that in CIT, except with some few lecturers, we discuss some of these things that are society, that improve society, unless you are in political science, political philosophy, or social science. Except with some of us, even when I do metaphysics, I will bring it down to ethics, to sweeping the floor, to meeting the woman at our farmer and all that. Because I don't think, and this is why, even with white-haired metaphysics of creativity, I can discuss it without this responsibility. But I said, what use is that? What is going to do for my environment? So I try to see how this individual, actual entity, the way Whitehead described it as an entity that is progressively moving towards creative advance, that is endless, always apprehending other entities, and so on and so forth, in the realization of the togetherness of other entities. I said, how can I translate this in the Nigerian society? If you are going for excellence, I'm going for excellence. Our photographer is going for excellence, and we are passionately moved towards that. The environment will change. And my friend, sorry, I'm talking too much. And my friend, ex-priest, Chancellor, you'll be happy to, he's now ex-priest. When he was ordained, he had this thing that we write on our souvenir. Oh Lord, make me to tell myself the truth. Normally priests talk about preaching to others. I once asked him, why you are saying, oh Lord, make me to tell myself the truth. In another place he said, in the face of tyranny, he wrote that word in German, in the face of tyranny, let me not be silent. So, these two expressions from him are daily propelling me. I said, why are you going to preach through to yourself? He says, if I do it, and you do it, and the other one does it, and all that, then the place will be surrounded by the flavor and the action of the word. So he begins from himself, a thing that APC realized after many years of saying, change, and with a broom. And I've asked so many questions. Change means dispel the people that are there and all that. Later, I think after 4 years, they said, change begins with me. That is it. If it begins with you, you would query how you came in with the election, which was what Yar'Adua acknowledged and had to ask for reform. He acknowledged that the election that brought him was an imperfect one. We shall try to initiate how this will be well done. This one came, broom, let us sweep away PDP and all that. Nigerians now, they know it, but they are not doing it.
Quite sad. the trust given to our leaders confers on them the obligation to accept fallout from their decision without consulting escape route. And you once said that one of your favorite quotes is that of Emerson, who said that the world makes way for the man who knows where he's going, and not the one who takes delight in giving excuses. Can you expand on that statement?
Very beautiful statement. My brother, late brother, Benjamin, maybe this is a good tribute to him. Benjamin Nnaemeka Ogbozo was the third in our family and the first child to die. He wanted to become a priest. I've always admired him and all that because of his level of intelligence, scientifically and philosophically oriented, but deeply spiritual. I once visited him on his not deathbed, but on his sick bed, because he suffered for 30-something years before he finally died. Had a very strong heart to live and to do something. Even the last 5 years he was on his sick bed, he built a reading table and said, whenever I have the strength, I will get up and read. And all that. And whenever he had energy, he would say, go to the bookshop, online bookshop in Enugu, to buy books. So I once visited him and he asked me a few things around what we agreed to do, and I was trying to give excuses. He then gave me this petition and gave me a book from where he got it. The world does not wait for the one who gives excuses. I imagine that the world is speaking about certainly Nigeria is not part of that world. I can swear it's not, because this is where they do it. As recent as yesterday, one of the staff at CIP, we had faculty board meeting, which I informed him what I expect him to do, to bring and all that. When we had started, he wanted to give me excuses. I said, Father, sorry, this is nonsensical for Chrysanthus. You can find this insulting at all because you have a lot of time, and you were not suddenly made sick. So and if you happen even 5 minutes to the meeting, you can alert someone, this is the day. Not when I call you, then you begin to give excuses. Don't ever. This is not facing reality. That is not being true to the real. The real is that we arrange for this thing and on time, everyone is expecting you and all that. And because we don't acknowledge we give excuses, we don't acknowledge it, and things continue to remain where they are.
Quite sad. Okay, this is really amazing. So Nigerians have been told to go and get their PVC so they can exercise their franchise in the next year general election. So what's your advice generally to Nigerians?
Getting PVC is only a step. There is something more important in PVC. The discipline to go and vote and stay there until you are voted. And if you are not being, there is a discussion about whether you have to vote, you make your voice heard. PVC is just introduction to you can connect it and put it here, and that's what happened last time. I was at Spa supermarket in the Enugu, and the thing was, I think the girl that was at the district cashier was the one who told me that I was trying to feel so bad because everyone had expected that the duo Atiku Obi, something could happen and all that. Yes, they know what they manipulated and this and that. He said, let us just leave that. And gave me a number of people who collected their PVC from Enugu State, and the number of those that voted was just like half. 100 collected, half of the number was able to come out, endure the sun, the rain, and all that, stay there to vote. And when later I went to Bauchi there's an event in Bishop Dachelem's diocese, Bauchi diocese. And after the event, I was sharing pleasantries with the priest from there. And one priest told me, you Southerners, those of you from Southern Nigeria, is part of the great curse about instability, about our political situation that up till now has not been remedied. How? You don't really come out actively. And he told me that old women up there would stay and bring their food and stay. Now we were very impatient. See, it's already on the road. Any slight halt, this one will put his head, another will put whether it is keke or bus, and chaotic life. So about this particular one, it is nice. Let them get the EBC, but more importantly, let us be prepared to endure sun, endure rain, endure provocations, stay there, if possible, in today's digital world, get gadgets like you do, that we film situation and you send out immediately the information, what is happening even at this year, and people will be aware of what is happening. We must be active, and being active is the foundation for being creative.
Just like the final parting was, still got to the state that the unexamined life is not worth living.
Yeah.
But you went further than that to say that an irresponsible life is not coming to existence in the first place.
Yes.
So can you help our audience with that?
Why should you come into existence? I'm asking rhetorically.
Yeah.
Because both from my philosophical and theological training, you exist for a purpose, for a good purpose. And a good purpose is assured by responsibility. You can't reach at a good purpose, good contribution, if you have no sense of responsibility. And if we cannot be on the move towards this, of what use is my existence? So if it is possible, such a person should ask God without being asked. You should disappear from the face of the earth, because it's an insult on God, who created you, created me, and all that. You have, and the issue is not about so much of success, but let it be seen that you have made effort. In this case, effort is more important than success. Because if you say, oh, I didn't succeed, let me go and kill myself, commit suicide. No, let it be seen. I said, if I even doubt that he will ever win this election or this, but the gospel he is preaching, by this effort he's making at each time, later younger unborn generations who will read about it will speak more about his refined personality. During those, one of the times he was going for campaign, unlike other politicians, people were waiting for what was I think at Port Harcourt Airport. So they said there was no plane because one was reserved for people to fly him to the place he will be campaigning and all that. And he came, they wanted to take him to a presidential wing, a very executive plane. He said, no, where are the others? Where are the people? They said, no, they are their own. He said, no, I'm going to follow through that. And then he went through that route and opened the way for every other passenger. That day was like, he said, but what are you talking about? Why should you put all these people, keep them in suspense, then I will fly alone? I think it was people oriented towards the common and order. This is what we do. And everyone has to learn. It's not just praising people. He did this, I must do it myself. Not on that level, but on my own level. What is my level? My level is I follow Keke to go to Owerri. And his driver said, no, please keep to the right road. And he said, I said, yes, you are spoiling Nigeria. And we are staying here to talk about this other man and Buhari. This is your Abuja villa. Do what is right. That is my level now, which you also know. My level is CIP. I don't need to be told by, what is it, the HOD. You are not rendering this thing. And I don't even need, the worst one is that I don't need praise. For what I'm supposed to do, I don't need any praise. Otherwise, why is it given to you? You know the quotation that fire is not praised for being hot. Its nature is to be hot. So why do you praise me? And one person once said, Nigeria is a place where with the politicians, when they do something, they tie road, and they say, oh, come, Igwe, and with our money, our taxpayers' money and all, and you are praising him, give him, and even give him almost 1/3 of the gift. You don't know he has stolen already 90%. Out of the 10% he gave you, you come again to give 2%. Say, hi. This is the height of intellectual decadence.
On that note, we begin to today's end this edition of Sapita Show, and we thank so much our guests for honoring us. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. I have to shake you. COVID or no COVID. So thank you very much for the opportunity. And I have to apologize that you have really tried to catch me and all that. Not because but it's just a time. And even today, when you came, you see how stressful the day is. But I'm very happy that you mentioned it before. And
to our audience, don't forget to like, comment, share, and bring in your questions for further clarification.
That's very good. That's very good. That's a good one. It's an ongoing thing. It's not once and for all. Thank you, and those viewers who will be listening and continue to listen to